it's Anissa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we did another full face testing new makeup. I had some drugstore makeup in here, I had some high-end makeup in here, and then I also retried a couple products that I've only tested once or twice. This is the makeup we were able to come up with. Very, very everyday type of vibes. This is one of my favorite full face of first impressions I've ever filmed. I really like the products. Some of them had weird reactions with one another. If you're interested to see how I came up with this look and what products I used, then make sure to keep on watching. But before you forget, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post on this channel every 4 days, so you never have to miss me for too long. Let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, we have so many new products that I have been so super excited to try. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump on in. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the stuff that isn't new that I'm using. So the first thing is this Tree Sugar Lips Lip Butter. I have been loving this stuff, and I always prep my lips first because I found that my lipstick applies better the longer my lip product soaks in. And also, I feel like you guys don't want to look at my crusty lips for the whole video. My face is breaking out so super bad right now. I have some mighty pimple patches that I never used and decided to use on my face last night because I am just so broken out and red right now. We do have a new brow pencil. I am going to be using the Huda Beauty Micro Shade Brow Pencil Black Brown. I've been so excited to try this. I think I actually bought this during the last VIB sale. Oh my gosh. This is the tiniest brow pencil I have ever seen. Just to give you a side-by-side comparison of how tiny this is my favorite brow pencil at the moment. This is the e.l.f. Micro Brow Pencil, and this is the tiniest one that I own. When you compare these two side by side, it is tiny. I would recommend, if you're somebody that kind of has sparser brows like I do, you will probably like a tinier brow pencil more than you will a thicker brow pencil, because the tiny one allows you to make those like real life hair strokes and really fill in since you have more sparse brows. The one thing I will say is you have to be careful when using a brow pencil like this because they're so thin sometimes that if you press too hard, they break really easily. Enough jibber jabber. Oh my gosh, this is the tiniest brow pencil I have ever seen in my life. I love that. That is so pigmented. I'm not having to press hard at all, which I told you guys I'm pointing that out because the harder you press, the easier it is for it to break. So you don't have to press hard with this. The color is perfect. Blends out really easily. Did I just find something that I like better than the Benefit? I haven't seen anybody try this either. It's not super new, but it is newer. That was literally so easy. I'm barely applying any pressure at all. It's not smudging. And that's the thing too, this has the perfect consistency. This is my bad brow, so let's see how she behaves today. Also, pro tip, if you're working with a smaller pencil like this, do not crank it up all the way. It doesn't need to be up this far. It really doesn't. You could crank it up about that much and it's gonna be fine. The longer it is, the easier it is gonna be to break. Oh, see, look, and I wasn't even pressing that hard and it just broke. That has a really good formula. This is what the brows look like, just outlined. Also wanted to mention that this is not your standard like circular component. It's more of a geometric component, if you guys can see that. Quickly fill in my brows using this Morphe brow cream in the color Chocolate Mousse, and then I will let you guys know my final thoughts on the brow pencil. This brow always gives me trouble because I over plucked my arch right here. So I try to like fill it in and make it look as natural as I can, but it's easier said than done. I have never felt like my brows looked so lifelike and clean. I would honestly be okay if I didn't clean my brows up and they looked like this, because I am just really happy with the way that they look. Literally a 15 out of 10. The only thing I would say about this is because it is so tiny, you really can't be heavy-handed. You have to be careful because when you are heavy-handed, your product breaks. Therefore, you go for the product more quickly than what you would have to. I want to go ahead and do a little swatch for you guys. That way you can see just how tiny these strokes are. Like, it is truly a hair stroke. That's what it looks like. Very super tiny. Now the colors aren't the same, but I did want to go ahead and swatch the e.l.f. one next to it. That way you can see the difference. So what's so amazing about the fact that it's so tiny is that especially when you're outlining your brows, you really have a lot more control as to the outline of what they look like. My key tip, making your brows look lifelike and real but also very clean, is to leave a couple sparse areas. So like I kind of leave my sparse area here, up here, over here in the front of my brow. I mean, you don't want everything to be just black in the same color because that gives no dimension to your brow. I'm gonna go ahead and use a new pot concealer to clean them up. You guys know I am a pot concealer junkie. I prefer to use pot concealer to carve out my brows because pot concealer tends to be a little bit thicker, and you want something a little bit thicker when you're working with hair because hair is thick. So you want it to be able to lay down, be concealed. Today, I'm going to be using the MAC Studio Finish Concealer SPF 35, and this is in the color NC45. I don't know how I've never tried this in my life, but we're here now. We made it, we're on the train, and we're not getting off. The Studio Finish pressed powder is one of my favorites. I have like 3 of them. Don't know how I ended up with 3 of them, but I did. Pretty creamy dipping into it, so that's a plus. I don't know how great this color is gonna be, but we're gonna make it work. I only use the pot concealer to carve underneath my brows, and then I use the foundation that I'm using to carve the top out, just so it gives the brows a little bit of a highlighted look on the bottom. Actually a perfect color. And really why I love cleaning up the bottom of my brows is because it just gives your brows such a sharper look. I haven't even blended it out, and this brow just looks way better than this brow. And that has really good coverage. It's not too creamy, but it's also not too thick. It's like the perfect consistency for a pot concealer. Guys, we love a good brow day. That is like the perfect color. That's like the best match that I think I've ever found, because I do like it to be a little bit lighter, but honestly, I feel like that's actually a really good match for me. This is what the brows are looking like. They're just cleaned up underneath, and I just feel like a new woman with these brows. We're not gonna mess with the top until we're into complexion. I love everything. Usually I'm the most excited to do complexion, but I feel like I'm probably more excited about the eyes today because I have been dying to try these eye products. We do have a new eyeshadow primer today. This is the Rare Beauty Always an Optimist Weightless Eye Primer, and it claims to be a weightless tinted eye primer that preps and brightens the lid for a crease resistant long wearing color. When I first tried Rare Beauty, I was like, okay, like this is very subpar for me. I used the concealer last month in my Shop My Stash, and it was actually one of my favorite things that I had pulled out of a whole month. And then I've been using her foundation this month, and oh my gosh, they are actually both really, really good. I love the concealer because it has good medium to full coverage. It can be bell tap. And then the foundation, I have been loving natural finish foundations, especially since I found that my skin is starting to get a little bit more dry with the cold, and it just has the most natural skin-like perfect finish to it. It's amazing. It's not cakey at all, but I have found that you do have to shake the bottle because if not, it like cakes up on your skin really weird. Back to the eye primer, which is what we're trying. This is what it looks like. It did a good job. I feel like it's smoothing. It didn't cover everything, but it did give me a better base than what nothing would have. I also like the consistency. It is a little bit more on the liquidy side, but oh no, it's very fast drying. So you guys see, I applied it to both eyes at the same time. I'm just gonna wipe it off and reapply it, which I mean, it's no big deal because I don't have anything on my eyes right now, but that's good to note. If you do try this, make sure you apply one eye and blend one eye, then apply it to the other eye and blend the other eye. And it's so funny because you'll find that with concealers too. Some concealers, they say that if you let them sit a little bit, they will get tacky and have a little bit more coverage to them. But if you let them sit too long, they dry the way they are. And that's exactly what that did. So that was actually a great teaching representational moment. And I'm just gonna blend the rest out with a beauty blender because I think I put a little bit too much on. But it is very weightless. I like the fact that it does brighten my eyes up a little bit. I tell you guys all the time, especially as a person of color, I love using an eye primer that is a little bit lighter than me because it helps the shadows to pop a little bit easier. I honestly can say I don't have an eyeshadow primer that is exactly like this. The thing that reminds me the closest to it would be the e.l.f. eyeshadow primer. It's not really tacky. It is just a little bit, but not really, just kind of more of a smoothing primer. It's not hanging on to any of my texture weird at all, which is something that I really do look for. I have hooded eyes, so all this wrinkly skin, it is really easy for a product to hang on to it weirdly, which is the reason that I don't use concealer as an eyeshadow primer because I think that it's just a little bit too thick and cakey for me. I'm so excited to try this palette, guys. This is the new Jaclyn Hill Divine Neutrals Morphe palette. This is brand spanking new. Like, this just came out not even a month ago. It is so gorgeous. The perfect everyday eyeshadow palette, especially for people of color. And I think that's what drew me to it, is because, you know, most nude eyeshadow palettes that are or Drugstore will have like a couple of dark transition colors and maybe one crease color. But with this, like, you have some variety. I'm going back to my roots, guys. I feel like I did color all throughout the summer, so we're gonna take a little bit of a break from color for the fall time and just dip right into this. I'm gonna take the colors Good Vibes right here and Booked, and I'm gonna mix those two and just put them in my crease. Oh, and it has actually a really good size mirror. I love the fact that it's longer so you can actually see your eyeshadow. Probably still to this day, one of my favorite, more affordable eyeshadow palettes is the Jaclyn Hill, the first one. I still want to try the second one, but oh my gosh, I just love it. I love the fact that it has a lot of neutral colors, but it also has some fun pops of color. So if you ever do feel like playing with color, it's not super intimidating. And I think that's what I found with, especially when I was first getting into color, is that it was so intimidating, you know, seeing all these rainbow cut creases and all these bright poppy colors. I feel like that palette is a really good transitional palette for somebody who wants to get into colorful eyeshadow, but doesn't want to like full send it yet. These are blending out really nicely and smoothly actually, which I honestly did not expect anything less from this palette, because it's Morphe and it's Jaclyn Hill. And I've also really been loving her lip liner. Of course, these colors are really pigmented. They're building up really easily. One of these days, I do want to do a video just completely talking about my favorite nude eyeshadow palettes, especially, you know, for like the everyday person. The everyday person isn't going to be wearing like green eyeshadow. You know, the everyday person is going to be doing something like this. Also, all of the makeup that you're seeing in this video was hauled in my last makeup haul. And there's also other products in there clearly that will not be included in this video, but you will see eventually. So if you are a haul type of gal, I have a whole haul playlist. And not only do I have makeup on there, I do also have a couple clothing hauls. I really don't do those now just because I feel like I have niched down more so to makeup and a little bit of lifestyle, but fashion is not my thing. I'm the most basic person when it comes to dressing. I wish I had the ability to like throw together these like super extravagant outfits. Just taking a clean brush and blending that out at the top. That way we don't have any harsh lines. I want this to be really pretty and just like diffuse. This is the only brush that I will use to pack a darker color into my crease. This is the e.l.f. Eye Contour Brush. I absolutely love this. I'm just gonna start off with the color Boo Bear right here, and I'm gonna pack that into the outer crease, and we may go in with a little bit of Cinnamon Roll, but I wanna see what this looks like on its own first. I want it to be a little bit darker than that. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to pack Boo Bear all over the lid just to give a little bit more dimension. It is a little bit darker, but I want something just a tad bit darker. This is a really good packing brush, not just for the outer part of your eye, but I really just love this for matte colors. I honestly have never used it for shimmer. I prefer a more flat brush for shimmer. After you do something for so long a certain way, you really don't think about doing it any other way. I feel like if you're somebody that's like the everyday person and you really are not super into shimmer, you could totally leave it like this and, you know, just have a little bit of dimension going on with the eye. Just to let you guys know, these do have a little bit of kickback to them. Again, I always like to mention that. I feel like that affects people more so when they do their eyes last, more so when they do their eyes first, because if you do your eyes first, all you gotta do is wipe it off. Deepen out the outer crease. I'm gonna go ahead and take this color right here, Cinnamon Roll, and top that on the outer crease where I started with Boo Bear. But this is just gonna go on the outer crease because I want to add some dimension. Oh, that is like the perfect color. You can see these colors are super buildable on top of one another. Now, I don't want to make it too super dark because I am doing brown eyeliner today. For the first time in history of my life, we are doing brown eyeliner on this channel. Just gonna go back in with the same blending brush and blend that out. Oh my gosh, the shimmer is always the hardest part. What I want to do for the shimmer is I'm going to mix these two colors, Super Tease and Exposed right here. Oh, I feel like these would be gorgeous mixed on the eyes. On one eye, I'm gonna do finger, and then on the other eye, I will do setting spray with a brush. Maybe I'm not getting the pigment I want because honestly, I think that with shimmers, you get a little bit more pigment with your finger. I mean, it's showing up, but not the way I want it to. We're ditching that and we're going with the finger. Gonna go ahead. Oh my gosh, see? 20 times better. Really the only time I will use setting spray with a brush is if I'm doing more precision work. So if I'm doing like a halo eye or something and I only want the color in a certain part of my eye, but that is way better. I usually like something a little bit more glittery, but these are not super glitter heavy. They are truly like just shimmery colors, if you know what I'm saying. They just give like a really nice sheen to the eye. And these are actually really smooth in texture. Also, they're not rough feeling or chunky at all. And the shimmer where the outside of the color part of my eye is. That was way, way better with my finger. Just for kicks and giggles, gonna go ahead and do a little bit of blending for that shimmer color and my crease. One thing about having hooded eyes is I could not blend it and it'd be fine. Just because this is my preference, I could go for a little bit more glitter on the eye, but if you're like me in that way, you can easily use like a single eyeshadow topper or something like that and use a really nice pretty foil over top. But this is like the most natural, smoky type of eye I've done in a really long time. These are shimmers that are like, you know, you have shimmer on your eye, but they're super subtle and very, very pretty. And honestly, I really did not get a whole bunch of fallout from the shimmers. Went ahead and popped on what I believe to be the most genius invention of all time, the e.l.f. Line and Define eye tapes. My eyeliner career truly would not be possible without these. I always cut them in half. When you cut them in half, you get twice the use out of them. And there's no need to use one on one eye. It's just wasteful. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm super excited to try this new eyeliner today. I've actually already tried this eyeliner before in black, but this is the Maybelline Hyper Easy Pencil Eyeliner. Oh shoot. Guys, I'm feeling really silly. I thought that this was the pen, but this is the pencil. It has a really great swatch. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and wait and use this on my waterline. I thought I bought the Hyper Easy Brush Tip Liner, but I actually bought the pencil. So I'm gonna go ahead, it's okay, we can still use this on the waterline, but I'm gonna go ahead and use the Hyper Easy pen as my eyeliner, and it's black. So we're not doing brown eyeliner today. Kind of sad. Guys, I'm telling you, if you do not listen to anything I say, open your ears for like 20 seconds and listen to me when I say this. This eyeliner pen, high-end and drugstore, has the easiest application process. It literally takes me 30 seconds to do my eyeliner. Most of the time I sit here and struggle for like 10 minutes. It is so pigmented, so super black. The tip is so easy to use. And it's actually not a felt tip. It's the shape of a felt tip, but it's actually a pen. So it does have a little bit of malleability. It moves easily. It's not super stiff. The most satisfying part of this whole video. Everything is looking really, really good so far. I'm super, super happy with the way that the eyebrows turned out and the eyeshadow. Now it is time for Complexion. This is actually not a new product, but I have only used it once. The only time I've used it is when I tested it out on a full face of first impression. This is the Smashbox Primer Water, and it is a set and refresh spray. I have not been able to do my makeup without primer water the past couple days. I feel like it preps your skin for primer, like it gets your skin ready to be prepped, and it's also a feel-good step. That has a really fine mist. Fan that into my skin a little bit. I think that my skin has been dry because I've been using a different moisturizer, which I don't know why I've been trying a different moisturizer, because the Belief and the Neutrogena are my ride or dies. I don't know why I feel like I need anything other than them. It hasn't been doing an amazing job at like super moisturizing my skin. So I think that's why my skin's actually been a little bit more dry, which is so ironic. I'm so super excited to try this product. You don't understand the hoops I had to go through to get this product, which I will tell you guys in a second. This is the MAC Mineralized Charged Water. It's just supposed to be a gel moisturizer that is really good for prepping your skin for makeup. I feel like my skin has truly changed the most from the time I was 17 to 19. When I was 17, I feel like there was nothing dry about my skin at all. Really, last winter is the first time I experienced any type of dry skin at all. So I was like, okay, I've got to switch what I'm doing, because using all these mattifying products is not giving me great makeup application like it used to. If you really do have super oily skin, yeah, you definitely need a mattifying primer, but when you have dry skin, you can't expect to use a mattifying pore filling primer and get seamless application. It's not gonna look cute. This is also super lightweight. I think for me too, what was so confusing is when I was starting to use more moisturizing primers, I was like, I think I always had the mindset, well, my moisturizer is my moisturizing primer. No, baby. It's not oily feeling or anything at all. It's going into the skin really nice. And it actually is not really doing a whole lot of glowiness to the skin. My cheeks actually look pretty matte. Did leave a little bit of shine on the forehead, but not like oily shine. Actually kind of smoothed out some of my texture. I'll tell you guys a story about this primer while I use my pore filling primer. I do still use mattifying pore filling primer because I do still have oily skin. My skin is more combo. I find it appropriate for me to use a moisturizing primer and a mattifying / pore filling primer. This is the Milani No Porezone Mattifying Primer, and this has lily and bamboo extracts. When I first used this, I hated it, and I think it's because I had used it in conjunction with the Milani Chill Primer, which I absolutely love. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But I think those two just didn't like each other. But I've been using this with a bunch of moisturizing primers and it is so good. I had mentioned in my haul that I had to order that online because they didn't have anything in stock. I also mentioned in that video that the two ladies in MAC were so rude and unhospitable, very, very, very hostile. Whenever I would ask them for stuff, they'd be like, do you need anything else? Like, is there anything else or are you done? It had been about 2 weeks and I had still not received that moisturizer. I get on my MAC account because I do have a MAC account, and it said that the only thing I had purchased was a MAC blush that I purchased last year. So it wasn't even on my account. I called the corporate store and they told me the same thing. They were like, we're not seeing where you ordered it. I said, the lady in the store ordered it for me. We paid for it. I don't want a refund. I just want the product. Pretty much the corporate people told me that they thought that I would be better off just calling the store itself that I bought it from. I'm going to continue my story, but I'm going to continue it as I put on foundation. This is the MAC Studio Fix Cream to Powder Foundation. This is in the color NC47. I'm gonna go ahead and do half brush, half sponge, these MAC products that I'm using from the MAC on Michigan Avenue in Chicago. So she gives me the number. That's good coverage. I talked to the guy and pretty much he told me that the girl did it wrong and he asked me, you know, like, did this person do it? And I was like, well, this is what she looked like. And he was like, yeah, it was her. And I told him, you know, I was like, hey, just by the way, because I think you guys should know, I had a really bad experience in your store. The two girls were not hospitable at all. And on top of that, come to find out she did the order wrong. He sent me the product straight from the store and he also threw in a couple samples. So shout out to him. That's the hoops I had to go through to get that product. I actually really like this. This is like a your skin but better type of vibe. Very lightweight, and I feel like the match is actually really good. I think it's supposed to have a soft matte finish, but I really don't remember. This is what this side of the face looks like. Clearly, she's winning. I feel like when I'm testing new foundation, it's only right for me to use the Morphe M439. I am gonna guess that I am gonna get a little bit more coverage on this side than I did on the sponge side, just because that's usually how it goes. Because usually a brush will give more coverage than a sponge. This sponge has been through the ringer, y'all. This is the e.l.f. Complexion Trio Sponge, the big one. I absolutely love it. Better than the Beauty Blender in every way possible. It's softer and it's also bigger, so it takes less time to blend out your product. Also wanted to mention that this compact does come with a mirror. Why I was so excited to try this product is because this product actually does have a lot of sentimental meaning to me. This product is one of the first things that I ever tried as a little girl because my mom used this product. It actually is looking a little bit lighter on this side of my face. Compact foundations, I feel like have just been intriguing me as of recently. I just feel like they're very convenient, very easy, and I feel like I got on that kick ever since I tried the KVD Good Apple, which I like, but it's not good for long wear at all. It is amazing for pictures and like TikTok content. I got more coverage with a brush, but I like the way that it looks better with a sponge. I just think it looks a little bit more skin-like, and that's so funny because that's also how I feel about every other compact foundation that I've used. I think that they look better with a sponge. I'd say this definitely gave medium coverage. I'm not gonna build it up because I am using what is supposed to be a full coverage powder foundation, so I'm not gonna build it up. Between medium to full, it does lean more on the full side just because it has gotten rid of pretty much all of my redness. All you can see is texture, really. It has a natural finish, but it's slightly matte. Okay, let's keep this good We Love Everything streak going. Concealer, I'm gonna be using the One Size. This is the One Size Turn Up the Base Butter Silk Concealer, and this is in the color Dark 3G. I am currently using the Makeup Dissolving Mist from him right now, and I actually really like it. And I have tried the powder foundation. It's good, but honestly, the Beauty Creations powder foundation is a really good dupe for it, and it's actually a little bit more blendable. Usually I would go for something a little bit lighter than this, so I may end up layering something on top of it, but I want to see what it looks like on its own. It's a really nice consistency. It's not thick at all. It's actually more on the creamy side. I'm gonna blend one eye out with a sponge and one eye out with a brush because I have actually been liking the way a brush has been looking underneath the eyes because it just gives such good coverage. I really don't put any foundation underneath my eyes because I do like a full coverage concealer, so I don't like it to look super cakey. This is actually also a really good natural match for me. Again, I usually would go for something a little bit lighter than this. Also, to share another current favorite with you guys, I have been loving this to blend out the concealer underneath my eyes. This is actually the Rare Beauty foundation brush. I think it's a little bit too small to use all over the face, and it's like the perfect size for underneath the eye. It has that slant and it's pointed at the top, so it's really easy to get up in there into the crevices of your eye. Okay, I actually like the way that it looks with the brush a little bit better. I feel like it gave a little bit more coverage, just slightly up close. I can tell it gave a little bit more coverage. With the brush side, it is hanging on a little bit weird. Actually, let me take that back. I don't know if it's hanging on weird or if I just have more texture underneath this eye, because I do have fine lines underneath my eyes as well. That looks better. I blended it out with the brush and it looks a lot better. And it does look like it has a more soft matte finish to it. Just to brighten it up a little bit, I'm gonna use this Flower Beauty concealer in the color D23 Deep. This is what I like my under eye to look like. Just a little bit more bright than the rest of my face. And again, this is totally a preference thing. A concealer like this that is like a really good match for me would be perfect to use in conjunction with an eye brightener. I always, no matter what concealer I'm using, go in with the e.l.f. Complete Concealer Brush and go underneath the eyes just so nothing is hanging on weird. Quickly gonna throw on some cream blush, and I'm also super excited to try this cream blush. This is the Beauty Blender Liquid Whip Cream Blush in the color Cheeky Pink. I thought that this was such a nice, fun color that would be like kind of a more poppy pink for me, because I do tend to go for like more brown. We're gonna do one side with brush, one side with sponge. Oh, not super pigmented at first, but it's not harsh. Like, it's so blendable. I didn't use cream blush is because it can be very, very intimidating. Like, you have something like this in a pan that you're gonna put on your face. Even regular blush can be intimidating. That looks so pretty on the skin. Just gonna go over it with the sponge. I always do. And I felt like I was actually able to build it up a little bit too, to be like the perfect amount. I'm gonna go in with the sponge. For some reason, it's coming off like more light over here. That's oh my gosh. I really can't explain what's going on with words, so I'm just gonna show you guys using the camera. Okay, now it's kind of doing it over there. Oh my gosh, you guys see how it's getting lighter now? My cheeks were not the same color a second ago. This one was darker and this one was lighter. My guess would be that the foundation and this are not liking each other. Something weird is happening. I don't know what it is, but I'm not gonna say that I don't like this because I really did like the initial application of it before this. It doesn't look awful, and I think that once I put powder on, it'll look better. So I'm gonna have to try this with a couple different things, but I don't think that MAC foundation and this like each other. Now I'm just gonna quickly go back underneath the eye before I set. And I actually usually will set my eyes immediately after doing concealer, but I have found that some cream blushes do not like the translucent powder or the powder that I put underneath my eyes on top. So I wait. We have a new translucent powder. This is the Dragon Beauty Translucent Setting Powder in the color Invisible. So I'm curious to see if this is actually colorless. We're gonna go in with this powder. I love doing full face of first impressions. I really, really do. But the only thing about it is sometimes you get you get two products that just don't like each other for whatever reason. And it's really hard to tell like the why of what's going on. So really the only way to figure that out is to use it again. Okay, not gonna lie, I was a little worried that that was not gonna blend out to be translucent, but it is. That actually looks really, really pretty. It is slightly scented, but it smells like very, very girly. It didn't change the color of anything underneath the eyes. That is so finely milled. The loose powders I've been trying lately are so finely milled and like gorgeous underneath the eyes. Just to show you guys. Now ignore my lines because those are natural. Nothing can be done about those. They'll always stay there. I have never found a concealer or a powder that can conceal them. So we have a symbiotic relationship. This looks very, very similar to like what the Laura Mercier does and what the Hailey's Beauty do underneath my eyes. It looks very, 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 very good. There's little teeny tiny specks of shimmer. Honestly, usually like shimmer like that would bother me, but it's not super, super obvious. Before I put on powder foundation, I want to go ahead and carve out the top of my brows. That kind of applied weirdly. I don't know if you guys saw when I first applied it, it kind of balled up. a little bit, but when I blended it out, it was fine. I feel like based on that, maybe it's the foundation that was having a bad reaction to the blush. Today for powder foundation, we're going to be using the Tarte Smooth Operator Amazonian Clay Tinted Powder Finishing Powder, and this is in the color Deep. I'm hoping that the match is going to be okay. Most of the time you will find with powder foundations, just as a warning, they will not look like this on your face, especially if you already have product on your face. The color is going to look a little bit different. Just a warning when you're going to pick out a color for powder foundation. The reason that I also like to wait and do my cream blush underneath my translucent powder is because sometimes I found that if I do my cream blush on top, whatever pressed powder I use just sucks to it and it discolors that part of my face. And you guys can actually see that. That happened in one of my videos recently. I'll link it right up here, that way you can see what I'm talking about. It's definitely adding coverage. I'm telling you guys, powder foundation is my favorite step of makeup. It just helps smooth everything. This is actually a really good color too. When you are picking a shade for powder foundation, get something that looks a little bit lighter than you, because when you put it on your face, it should look the same as what your face does. And then just going in with a smaller brush to get around my brows. Actually, I really love the way my brows turned out today, guys. It's not the most full coverage thing that I've used. I mean, I've used powders that you put it on and you can see the mark that the brush left on your face. I feel like it's a really good finishing powder. Yeah, I did a really good job of smoothing. I feel like this side of my face actually looks a little bit better now that it has been set. This is where this could all go bad, not because of the product, but because of me. I usually prefer cream bronzer over powder bronzer because personally to me is a little bit less intimidating than powder, but we're gonna be brave today. This is the Juvia's Place bronzed bronzer, and this is in the color Deep Dark. This is what it looks like. We're gonna use this and see how it goes. Okay, maybe it's just this cheek, but do you see how it looks like kind of patchy? I mean, the color's showing up. I feel like it's not fair for me to say I don't like this because I really am not super comfortable with powder bronzer. But for me to not be super comfortable with powder bronzer, it's really not doing that bad over here. I think this cheek is just over me today. Like, she's had enough of my BS. I think this is what's happening. I think this is what's happening. I tell you guys this all the time, and I don't always practice what I preach. Makeup, you don't always have to do every single step. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't want to do bronzer, don't do bronzer. If you don't want to do highlighter, don't do highlighter. But I think that me and powder bronzer just do not get along. And I don't think that I'm ready to accept that, because I don't know if it's my fault or its fault. Cream bronzer, I can do all day. But powder bronzer, I have not found one that I really like and love, and maybe that's the reason. This cheek actually looks pretty good. You know what, I take that back. I actually do like this because I feel like it gave me a slight bronze and was very easy to blend out. That's me and my midlife crisis that I'm going through right now with bronzer, if you care. Next, this is not a new product, but I have been loving it. I wanna go ahead and top the cream blush off with this powder blush, Flower Beauty Flower Pots powder blush, and this is in the color Barrymore. It does actually have a little bit of shimmer in it, but it's actually so pretty, which I never thought those words would come out of my mouth, but they just did. Wow. This is really pretty if you build it up. Sponge is my security blanket. I don't know what to do without it, so I just do it because it makes me feel good. Also don't have a new highlighter, so I'm just going to be using this Bobbi Brown highlighting powder in the color Bronze Glow. Pretty natural highlighter. Like, it gives highlight to the skin, but it's not super glittery or anything like that. Pretty much all the makeup that is not new has been picked in my Shop My Stash for this month, so that's why it's in this video. If you're interested in seeing all the makeup that I have for my Shop My Stash this month, then I will leave that video linked right up here for you guys. Before we finish underneath the eyes, I'm gonna go ahead and use this LA Girl setting spray, and this is just the Fix and Set makeup for extended wear. I've also only used this once. I tend to grab for like my 2 or 3 favorite setting sprays, so I've really been trying to go out of my way and grab for ones that I don't use as much. I don't even remember when I tried it. Ooh, it smells like skincare, and the spritzer on this is very nice. I feel like the thing that I've been looking for the most as of recently is, does the setting spray disturb my makeup? Because recently I've tried a couple that leave little droplets on my face, and it really didn't bother me at first because you can just blend it out with a brush, but I'm like, I don't like that it does that because it disturbs the makeup. That actually is really nice. It didn't necessarily mattify, it just kind of really like set everything into place. And this does not smell like alcohol at all. Now we're gonna try this Maybelline Hyper Easy Automatic Pencil Liner that I was gonna use before that I thought was eyeliner. This is actually the size of like a brow pencil that I would use. I'm used to using something a little bit bigger. Really just trying to tight line with this. I'm not gonna smudge this one out a whole bunch. You can't tell a huge difference, but it does give a little bit more subtle smokiness to this eye compared to this eye. Usually I have a really hard time when it comes to doing my waterline because I blink so much and it makes it hard to apply, but that was actually really easy to apply. I actually like the fact that it's a little bit tinier because I don't like to smoke my lower lash line out a whole bunch because I think it can very easily turn into raccoon eyes. So I like the fact that it's just a really subtle tight line, kind of like if you're somebody that tight lines your upper lashes to blend your false lashes and your real lashes together. I have a little sample of a Smashbox mascara. I really don't try a whole bunch of new mascara because it's just not my thing. Like, I'm definitely more into trying new complexion products than I am mascara. This is the Smashbox Super Fanned Out Mascara. This is in the color black and it's just a little travel size. I actually did not purchase this. My mom gave this to me. It doesn't smell good. Oof. Really, all I look for in a bottom mascara is lengthening and separation. While I was looking super up close to get into my mascara, I don't know if it's the powder or the concealer, but one of the two is sinking into my fine lines just slightly. You can't tell from far away, but you can tell from up close. While we wait for that to dry, I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips with a new lip liner, MAC lip liner in the color Hover, just a really pretty brownish color. It's like a perfect nude with like a touch of pink in it. For this to be a pencil, it has a really nice formula. Usually I prefer a like roll-up type of pencil. For lipstick, this is not new. I'm gonna be using the Ofra Long Lasting Liquid Lipstick in the color Las Olas. I've been loving this lately. Oh, that's actually a good combo. All right, guys, this is the finished look. The only two things that really didn't stick out to me was the Juvia's Place bronzer and the eye primer. I felt like the eye primer did a good job and I felt like this did a good job, but everything else I was honestly really wowed by. If you guys like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I post on this channel every 4 days, so you never have to miss me for too long. If you do like these full face of first impressions, I do have a whole playlist that I will link right up here for you guys to go binge watch. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.